Hey guys, Nicolas here, back to another video. So I recently saw the book of Boba Fett, and I gotta say, I was pretty excited about this series ever since the post-credit scene of Mandalorian Season 2, and it did not disappoint. And I also really like about how the series is going to, how this also kind of connects to Mandalorian Season 3. And we'll get to that in a bit for Chapter 5 and Chapter 6 when we get to there. And so on and so forth, and yeah, definitely enjoyable. It was definitely worth the watch. I don't know if the show is ever going to get renewed for a second season or if the series is done after that, but yeah, without further ado, let's get on to the review. So, I know that there were a bunch of people that do have some small mixed opinions on the Book of Boba Fett, but I just want to say this. I absolutely love this series. I know that there are some people that don't really enjoy this show as much as The Mandalorian, and I can understand that the show is nowhere near as good as The Mandalorian, but it does a really solid job on the characters, and it does a really solid job on other things like with the flashback scenes, etc., including with callbacks to the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy. So the plot of the series is basically the show takes place about 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi, and taking place right after the events of Season 2 with The Mandalorian, where Boba Fett is now a crime boss, now taking over Jabba's palace, as seen as the Season 2 finale post-credits scene. And also he's trying to make up for all the things he has done for his years of being a bounty hunter, and trying to get rid of his killer side, and trying to rule with loyalty and respect, and a little bit more than Jabba, since Jabba ruled with fear. But there's a problem, since he's been suspicious about some illegal activities that have been happening through Tatooine, Mos Espa, and we find out that the Pikes are taking over the territory of the, actually are using Tatooine as their home base for running spice. So now he needs muscle with the help of other bounty hunters and with the help of the Power Rangers S-type biker gang, which, anyway, I won't give that much spoilers for the show anyway, but overall, I really like the show in general. I like about how Boba Fett is trying to make a change in his life and is trying to make that journey through. Tamar Morrison, he still does a really great job on playing Boba, like how he did in the original trilogy. Also, how he betrayed the other Jango Fett clone troopers in the prequel era, and also how he played Jango in the prequel trilogy as well. It does a really awesome job. I mean, yeah, I know that Boba is supposed to be a mysterious character and all that, but I like about how the changes how the changes the writers are trying to do, and how they're trying to make the story really, really good. And overall, it does a really solid job into it. Great performances from Tamar Morrison and Ming-Na Guang. If I'm spelling that right, I'm sorry if I butchered her name. I'm trying to spell it right. She plays Fennec Shan in the Mandalorian, and also here in the series. She still does a really solid job as she did in the Mandalorian, and so on and so forth. And yeah, it was also nice to see some other fan favorite bounty hunters that we have seen through Star Wars lore, like Black Croissant, and of course the Mandalorian himself, Din Djarin, and of course another surprising character, Cad Bane. Black Croissant is awesome as he was through the lore of Star Wars in the comics. Despite that, I'm not that much familiar with the character too much, but seeing him here and everything like that, it was so awesome. Definitely really amazing. Did a really solid job for the actor who played him. did a really solid job. The costume design, the creature design of the character is pretty amazing. Definitely awesome. He looks more like one of the predators from the Predator films. Fennec Shan is still pretty much badass, and she is also a really great supportive character. She still does a really great job on being the badass character, like how she was in The Mandalorian. Still does a really awesome job. Anyway, there's also Mando himself, Din Djarin. I mean, seeing him again after season 2, years later after the events of season 2, was pretty awesome. How he's doing the bounty hunting business, and he has the Darksaber, which he got from season 2. If you don't remember, he beat Moff Gideon in hand-to-hand combat, and he won and grabbed the Darksaber, gives it back to Bo-Katan, but she couldn't take it because, well, she hasn't won in a combat, and the rules for the Darksaber had changed. But overall, Mando is still pretty badass, especially when he's using the Darksaber. I also really like the other characters returning from season 1 of The Mandalorian, such as the Armor and Paz Vizsla. Sorry about that, I forgot his name a little bit. But the other big Mandalorian is Paz Vizsla. Who is basically one of the ancestors of the Vizsla, like pre-Vizsla from the Clone Wars. And yeah, overall, Paz Vizsla was another one of my favorite characters. I had big respects for the guy after that episode ended in season 1 of the Mandalorian, when he helped Mando to escape and to help Baby Yoda to help him to escape with Baby Yoda, now Grogu as he's called. So yeah, I really like. Also, Grogu here is pretty awesome. He still is adorable like he was in The Mandalorian. Grogu, definitely by far one of the most fan favorite characters, and he still is my favorite character to this day. And also seeing him here again in the Book of Boba Fett was pretty awesome. I really like seeing Grogu again, and I can't wait to see Grogu, more of Grogu again in Mandalorian season 3. But we'll get into Mandalorian season 3 when we get there. I know that there were some flaws with Boba, but I've been a big fan of Boba ever since I saw his on-screen appearance in Empire Strikes Back, and seeing him here is still pretty awesome. He gets more screen time since his time was short in the original trilogy, much like Darth Maul when he was brought back in the Clone Wars, since his time in the prequel trilogy was short. But anyway, seeing him again here was pretty awesome, and having more dialogue and everything like that is pretty amazing, despite that he is supposed to be a mysterious character. Still is pretty awesome. He still is pretty badass, and I can't wait to cosplay him, in which, yes, I am making a cosplay of him, and I will post an update video on that on my cosplaying and art channel. And if you want to subscribe to my cosplaying and art channel, I'll leave the link in the description down below so that you can subscribe to that. But anyway, yeah, Boba Fett is still pretty badass. I really like the choreography that Tamar Morrison did a really awesome job with. Tamar Morrison does an awesome job at his stunts. Anyway, after that, another thing is that seeing in chapter 5 of the Book of Boba Fett, I really like about how we got to see the characters returning from season 1 and season 2 of The Mandalorian. Pretty amazing. And I also really like about how chapter 5 and chapter 6 are leading up into Mandalorian season 3, and also about Mando still having those beliefs of being a Mandalorian, about that cult thing. If you don't know, in season 2 it was mentioned that he couldn't take off his helmet because he was in like some part of a cult of a Mandalorian. It's very confusing, I know, but if you watch season 2, you'll understand. But anyway, also there was the saddest part in the reunion between Mando, the Armor, and Paz Vizsla, where after after Mando beat Paz Vizsla's ass, the armor asks the two Mandalorians a question. Did he take off his helmet, show his face? Paz said no. And Mando, well, keep in mind, Mando did not tell anyone about this, so he confesses and said that he took off his helmet, and we already know why. I mean, he took off his helmet mainly because of the safety of Grogu. And yeah, when we get to see that part in season 2, that was pretty emotional, and we already know how the story ends. And at this time, Grogu is still being trained by Luke Skywalker. Remember at the ending of season 2, we saw Luke defeating a bunch of dark troopers and taking Grogu to be his first Jedi student, technically, before Kylo became his first student before the events of the sequel trilogy. Sorry about that. Before the events of the sequel trilogy. So yeah, but we don't talk about the sequel trilogy. Anyway, seeing Mando being banished from his clan was pretty emotional, but then again, was also pretty awesome, since now he can be his own person, and he doesn't have to take orders from anyone. He can still take off his helmet and show everyone his face and all that, despite that he still has those strong beliefs, but it's a little different than how it was in season 1 and season 2 of The Mandalorian. But anyway, Mando steals the spotlight for chapter 5 and chapter 6. Pretty awesome. In chapter 5, I really like about how we get to see Mando ship, since remember, the Razor Crest in season 2 was destroyed and he needs a new ship, and so he takes the traveling bus, train, and airport type ship. Pretty awesome. Also, it was pretty hilarious about how he takes off all his equipment and lays it in there. In the case, also wondering how's Grogu doing with his Jedi training, and also Boba's new ship was pretty awesome. And there were rumors about that the ship was going to be somewhat of a Naboo starfighter that we saw in the prequel trilogy, in which, surprise, surprise, it was the N1 Naboo starfighter from the prequel trilogy, a callback to the prequel trilogy. Very classic, but it's a little different than how we saw it last time. This time it's silver, which was basically resembling Mando's color, and also it has like that little thing for Grogu. Pretty awesome. And then we get to chapter 6, where Mando is trying to speak with Grogu. He gets to meet with R2, also gets to meet with Ahsoka again, and also seeing Ahsoka interacting with Luke was pretty awesome. Just like how Ahsoka interacted with Anakin during the Clone Wars. Pretty awesome. A callback to the Clone Wars. Definitely awesome. I really like Ahsoka coming back here, and also this is obvious that it's trying to set up her own spin-off show, which is coming next year on Disney Plus. And overall, I'm very excited for her new show on Disney Plus, and I can't wait to see it. I'm hoping to see it next year. So yeah. Anyway, seeing Grogu with Luke Skywalker was pretty awesome. Another callback to the original trilogy, where he gets to put Grogu in his backpack, doing some parkour stuff. Callback to The Empire Strikes Back, where Luke goes to Dagobah and he gets trained by Yoda. Chapter 6 overall, I really like the callback in the original trilogy was pretty awesome. How Luke is now training Grogu and all that, and so on and so forth. I love his interaction with Grogu. And later, afterwards, I also really like how he shows Yoda's lightsaber, and also the T-shirt that Mando wanted to give him, the present that we saw in chapter 5. Anyway, yeah. Also, Chapter 5. While I really like Chapter 5, I also really like the armor's perspective, her political view and all that. We get to see political views on Mando's side and the armor side also. It's really amazing. The action with Mando versus Paz was pretty awesome. Definitely well shot and well edited. But back to Chapter 6. Chapter 6 overall was pretty amazing. I also really like Grogu's perspective of the his perspective of where was he during the events of Order 66. I really like seeing Grogu's perspective on Order 66. Another callback to the original trilogy. I also like seeing the clone troopers here again after about since 2005 when we saw them in Revenge of the Sith. It was still pretty awesome seeing them again here in the Book of Boba Fett series, despite that it was only like for a few minutes of the flashback scene. I thought it was still pretty amazing. I don't know if these are guys in costumes or if this is CGI or mocap, but overall, pretty awesome. I love seeing the clone troopers again after Clone Wars and after Revenge of the Sith, after the events of the prequel era. Really like the callback here of the prequel era. Really like the callback here in the callback here from the prequel trilogy. And overall, with the action for the whole entire series, it was pretty amazing, especially with the Power Rangers speeder bike gang chase where they're chasing with like that Twilight guy. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. I know that he was the assistant for the mayor of Mos Espa, but yeah. But anyways, at the ending of Chapter 6, I also really liked seeing Cobb Vanth returning after Mando Season 2. Also, I really like about how they rename that half of the town, I'm sorry, I don't remember that much of the town, called Freetown now, based on one of the Legends books and all that. I've learned it a bit from Legends on the internet, so yeah. Anyway, afterwards, we get a surprise ending where we finally got to see Cad Bane in live action. Cad Bane is by far one of my favorite bounty hunters in Star Wars lore and one of my favorite bounty hunters in the Clone Wars era. And seeing him again here after the Bad Batch and after Clone Wars, and after Bad Batch was pretty amazing. Seeing him this time in live action, pretty awesome. He's still menacing. He's still badass like he is in the Clone Wars and in the Bad Batch. And overall, yeah, they do stick true to his design, from the Clone Wars. But of course, more live action. Seeing him in live action was pretty awesome. And I know that there were some memes about his design that could have like gotten a few upgrades a bit, but his design is still pretty awesome, and everyone likes his design. Yeah, seeing him killing Cobb Vanth was pretty awesome. It was definitely amazing, pretty badass, pretty menacing, and also seeing him facing Boba, like how we saw him facing Boba in one of the deleted episodes and one of the deleted Boba Fett story arc episodes from the Clone Wars that did not make it to season 7 of the Clone Wars. Was pretty awesome. And also I really like the callback from Clone Wars about how they fought each other back then, in the Boba Fett in the long lost Boba Fett arc, where Boba was wearing his iconic armor for the first time during the Clone Wars. And this was supposed to be in Clone Wars Season 7, but it never made it to the final cut of the season, and was later there. But it's still canon, though. Despite that, we have not seen the full Lost episode. It's still canon. But anyways, yeah, I really like the callback here, seeing them again. But this time, it's the aftermath of the original trilogy. I mean, the fighting and the action in the final episode of the Book of Boba Fett is pretty amazing, really enjoyable, definitely loved it. I also really like the droids that they used, that they reminded me more of the force field droids from the prequel era, another callback to the prequel trilogy. They were original designs from the prequel trilogy, but they were later scrapped and they were later used here in the Book of Boba Fett. But they were still pretty awesome. They remind me more of Ed 209 from RoboCop. But overall, the final episode, what a great conclusion to the series. I know that it was a little overwhelming, but still, overall, it was pretty amazing. I really enjoyed it, and pretty much just, yeah, I wonder what is going to happen next to Boba, but I'm hoping to see him more somewhere soon, like maybe in the Ahsoka series or maybe in the New Republic series. I don't know yet, so, yeah. Anyway, I also really like the post-credit scene where we get to see Cobb Vanth in the Bacta tank, and he's still healing up, but the injuries are fatal, and so Boba asked this guy to help him repair him, turning him into a cyborg, just like how we saw him turning Finnick into a cyborg when Boba saved Finnick's life. Anyways, yeah, overall the series was pretty amazing. The CGI was pretty good. Great visuals, great editing as expected from Lucasfilm. Just something that is pretty good. It is definitely worth your time. I mean, there are flaws with the series, like for example with the flashbacks. I really wish that they could have done a little bit more better. Also with Boba, I really wish that they could have made him a little bit more mysterious. But he still is pretty badass like he was in the original trilogy. And also some other things, like for example with let me see how like for example how with the armor and Paz, I really wish that we could have gotten a little bit more screen time with them, but I'm glad to see them again after the Mandalorian, and I'm hoping to see them more hopefully sometime later in Mandalorian season 3. And overall, yeah, I know that the series was a little disappointing, and also finding out about who was the crime lord that was running the spice run, it was a little disappointing. Also, I really wish that they could have done a little bit much more better with the prequel flashback sequences, like with Camino and everything else. They still did a really great job, and they even found like a Daniel Logan lookalike, but still, I really wish that they could have done much better and put it more to the purpose of Boba's story. But overall, yeah, it's still pretty amazing. I really like Boba's arc in the series where he's trying to change. He's still trying to leave the bounty hunting business behind him, and he's now trying to be the best person that he can ever be for Tatooine. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to give the Book of Boba Fett 5 stars and a must-watch recommendation or streaming recommendation depending on your taste. Anyway, that's basically the Book of Boba Fett. What you guys think about it? Do you guys enjoy the series, or do you think that the series could have done more? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. I'm Nicolas. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. OMG! I can't wait to see this Kenobi series. Oh my god, I'm so excited for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.